That's crazy. How could I possibly, I can't break into this number. I've got to factor this number into parts, and then I can maybe cancel parts because factors will cancel. Division is the opposite of multiplication. If I make a bunch of multiplied pieces, I can then cancel those, because division will kill them. Okay.
What's 76 is
6-4.
76 is
Wow,
I have two answers.
6-4 number.
6-4 number.
I don't even.
Page 4.
Well, 6-4 we haven't done yet, have we?
No.
No.
No, not even married.
No, 6-3.
6-3.
Yeah, 6-3.
Number
76.
76.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not easy.
I got the answer 2.
The surface area of a cylinder.
Yeah. So the surface area of a cylinder. And what's a cylinder made of? It's made of 2 circles, right?
Yeah.
And a circle is pi r squared, so it makes sense that there's a 2 pi r squared piece, 2 circles. And then it's made of this stuff that if I open it up, it'd be like a rectangle. So you actually could do that, but here's the formula, 2 pi r h. You have to actually understand where the hell this came from? No. And they tell me the surface area is 6 pi and h is 2. And they want me to find r. I love it. You would love it, Jeff. So they tell you area is 6 pi, right? And h is 2. R is what? So I'm going to do the first step and a half, maybe. What do I do now? The most basic thing about algebra.
6 multiplied.
6, 5.
I don't do any of that yet. I plug in what I know.
Yeah, plug in.
Instead of A, I put 6 pi because that's
Yes.
what it is.
Yeah.
So 6 pi
6 pi
equals 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r, and h is
like 2.
2. All right, so it's just plug and chug. The first step is plug and chug. Somebody notice something about the ugliest number up there? What's the ugliest number up there? Pi. It's a number. What does it do?
314.
What does pi do?
It goes to infinity.
It cancels. Doesn't go to infinity.
Yes, it does.
You can take a pi out.
3.1415, blah, blah, blah. Pi cancels.
It goes to infinity because you don't know all the numbers.
Oh, and it's infinitely long.
Yes.
I agree.
You
Doesn't go to
cancel the
infinity.
pi?
Do you guys see that? That's the first thing to realize is that's why they gave me the area with a pi in it, so all the pi's would cancel. Otherwise, it's a silly, hard factoring problem.
How does it cancel?
Yeah.
I don't get that.
If I divide both sides by pi, don't the pi's all cancel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
So 6. Okay.
So 6 equals 2r squared plus 4r, right?
Yes.
Can't you pull the 6 over now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you could even take a 2 out and make it easier.
So I
Yeah.
got
Factor and then set each piece equal to 0. Right?
And 6 is
So I
equal.
got 2 answers.
Yeah, because of the
What are your
square.
2 answers?
One
Minus
negative,
3.
one negative, one.
1 positive.
And which, of course, makes no sense here, considering that r is the radius of the circle. Yeah, the positive one's got to be answered. The negative one makes no sense.
Yeah.
Math says, here are the numbers that work. We as the humans say, that's great math, but the negative one I can't use in my world, right? That might work in a parallel world, but not my world. We have positive ways. Okay, so remember the whole point of this section was, how do you solve equations with higher powers on your variable? You factor them after you get it equal to 0, and set each piece equal to 0, right? So what can I do here? Maybe let's go in and finish out. I can divide each one by
That's
2.
what I have to do.
That's really cool because now it's a very simple problem, right? How do I factor that?
R squared plus 2r minus 3.
What 2 numbers work?
R minus 2.
R and R.
Minus 1.
It's got to make 3, yeah, so
Yeah,
we're just
minus 3.
careful. It's 3 and 1, I agree. It's got to be a positive 2, so the big one's got to be.
Positive minus 1.
So r plus 3 is 0, or?
Minus 1.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So the R plus 3.
So r is negative 3, which is a neat one.
Yeah.
I need a circle that has negative 3 in radius. That's kind of difficult to do.
Or 1.
Well, R is 1, that's the one.
Yeah.
Now the radius of this soup can, maybe, or whatever the cylinder is, right? Okay. So I think a lot of people would probably maybe kind of give up on it before you even give it a try because of all these pies running around, and I couldn't really blame you too much. But try to at least plug and chug and then see the pies all go away. The worst part of it goes away, thank God.
Are we getting into this section today?
What do you mean?
With pi and all that? With pi and all that?
No, I mean this is a formula they gave us. We're not getting into some geometrical section today. This is just a formula that involves factoring. So that's why they gave it to me in this section, because it's all about the factoring.
Why did you divide by 2 instead of taking out?
Both do the same thing. I divide it by 2 so I can get rid of it totally. What's the only time I'm allowed to do that? When I actually have an equation with 2 sides.
Right.
What's the 0 do with the 2? Eats it up. Eats it for lunch. So whenever I have an equation with that extra constant everywhere, I just divide both sides by it. I can't do that, of course. If this was my problem here, if I said factor this, you better not divide by 2. You'd have to take the 2 out. And you'd have to keep that 2 there.
Yeah.
But if it's equal to 0, I can divide the 2 away.
Oh,
Right?
so what you're
Because can 2 equal 0?
No.
No, so that doesn't give me any answers. That's effectively getting rid of the piece that gives me no answers. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that if it's equal to 0, then you can divide by 2?
That, well, any equation you can divide by 2.
Uh-huh.
Any equation in the universe, you can divide it both sides by 2 if you wanted to. Here it happens to make it easier.
As long as there's 2 sides.
As long as you have an equation, as long as you have sides to balance what you're doing out. And again, like I said, if it was just this by itself, you'd have to keep the 2 there. You can't just get rid of it all of a sudden, right?
Oh.
If you said your answer was this, you're
No,
wrong. Because when you multiply it out, you don't get this.
You put an equal sign.
You left
there.
your 2 away. Yeah, you better have that 2 there.
So if you had an equal sign, then you can divide by 2.
Then, of course, you could do something to both sides and keep the balance.
Oh, the equal sign is
It's the same thing as people trying to kill all fractions. You can only kill fractions when you have an equation or something to balance you out, right?
Okay.
If I have over 5 equals, so I can multiply by 5, kill the fraction because I have 2 sides.
Yeah.
If I don't have 2 sides, you better just deal with the fraction. Can't kill it.
It's illegal. It's murder.
Yeah, exactly.
6-4.
The other one is a case of self-defense, so you're fine.
That's true.
6-4, number 55, please.
Draw the blank here, Joe. What section did we get up to on Monday? I'm drawing a blank right now.
6 point.
6-4, number 55.
We got 6.3.
Okay.
6.4.
Yeah.
So again,
55.
we haven't officially gotten into 6.4 yet. I'm pretty sure.
Just in like one example of 6-1.
I'm going to actually lecture on 6.4. I haven't lectured on it yet, so I'm not going to leave you out to dry. Yeah.
Number 75.
Wait, I had a question here.
5 over 71. I'm making it harder than it is.
All right, so see, this is the kind of question I was expecting from this section. The length of a rectangle is 2 feet more than 3 times the width. Yes, it will never go away.
What section is this?
This is section 5.8.
5-8.
Right, this is one about the rectangle, right? Length of a rectangle is 2 feet more than 3 times the width.
So that's going to be 3x plus 2, right?
Say again?
3x plus 2.
What's that?
The length.
Length, I love it. So the length is, where do you go? 2 feet more than 3 times. 2 feet more than 3 times the width. So what's the width?
It's going to be x.
It's going to be x.
Right.
Bless you. Thank you.
And then it equals to 16 square feet.
What equals to 16?
X, 3x plus x plus 2x. I mean, 3x plus 2 plus x. No?
Because what are they telling me is true about this rectangle? The area, right? So if you draw the picture,
Okay.
what's the area of a rectangle? What do you do with those sides?
Multiply.
You multiply them. The area is length times width. 16 square feet must be length times width.
Yeah.
And now you see why it's in this section, because now I'm going to get something with a higher power of my x. I've got to get it equal to 0, factor it, right? When you multiply this guy out here, now you see why before I was focusing on perimeter. I couldn't talk about area yet because that involves multiplying, and once you multiply variables, you get higher power, so we didn't know how to solve that until now. So now I can ask you area questions. Because now when you multiply them and get a square, that's what tells you to get it equal to 0 and factor. The biggest problem in math is, okay, I kind of get how to do it, Jeff, I just don't know when to do it. If that wasn't there, would I just divide by 2 and be done with it? Because x's are all together.
Yeah.
I can't get my x's together because they're not like terms.
Yeah.
I get it equal to 0 and then factor.
Needs to be x.
And how do you try to factor this guy? This won't be too evil. What do you have to do?
3x.
Okay, some of you guys might do this trial and error method. And then you try 8 and 2.
8.
That'll work, yeah.
That is 2 times 6.
For the rest of us that want a little less vague way to do it,
Plus 2 plus 8.
you could do 3 times negative 16, negative 48. What's that factor? So negative 48 make 2. 6 and 8. Some of you guys might realize 2 would make 6 here and 8 would make 8 there. I mean, that's kind of like the way I keep talking about. The more comfortable you are with numbers, the shortcuts you can find on your own. I don't teach too many shortcuts because it all depends on if you understand them or not. And people try to use them too much when I teach it in the wrong times. Which one of these has to be positive 8 11th? There's 3x squared minus 6x plus 8x minus 16. Group it. Right? It's almost done. The only difference when you have an equation with factoring problems is you've got to, of course, once you factor, you're not done. You've got to set each piece equal to 0, get the answers. It's an equation. I need to know what x is. So 3x, x minus 2, 8x minus 2, 3x plus 8, x minus 2, and then you can set each one equal to 0. Again, this is talking about a physical shape, so I can't possibly have negative lengths, so you throw those out. Thankfully, the prettier answer is the answer.
So you can't go any lower than that.
How do you mean?
3x plus 2 plus 8.
Well, what would be the next step?
Just,
If 0 equals this number times this number, either this number is
3x plus 8 equals 0.
equals 0.
Or
the
x
other way.
plus
Minus 2 equals 0.
and then you get your answers.
So
Yeah.
x one
Throw out the negative one.
equal to.
Okay.
So we took this second answer. X
Yes.
equals 2.
So you guys finish
no,
it out
No
X plus
fraction.
2.
because it's negative.
Negative.
That's not because it's a fraction, because it's negative.
Negative, yeah.
Okay.
The problem on page, I tried it, I didn't find anything relation to our
Which one?
section 4, page 497, number 75. Yeah, 75, yes. No, yeah, 75, it's very complicated.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
Ooh, I like
understand
it. That's cool. I like it.
That's very
Did I sign that one? 75, did I sign that one?
No.
No, no.
You could do it. I didn't assign it for a reason. I would make that like an extra credit problem.
They showed me the
It's very doable.
solution, but I didn't understand it.
Okay, so you can ask me later. So we're going to get into 6-4 now.
Maybe.
Yes, we are. Okay.
You're going to give us great thoughts for our head for spring break, I see.
Yeah, it's a nice reader. She's still going, she's still going. She's
All right, so just to kind of get us in the right mindset. I can't remember if I did a preview of this or not before, but if I had 3 8 plus 1